Good evening. I am Gary Rollin, Vice Chair of the Lorraine Medina Rural Electric Cooperative Board of Directors. I would like to begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As Vice Chair of the Board of Directors, I call the 88th Annual Meeting of the Lorraine Medina Rural Electric Cooperative to order. I would like to mention a few things for everybody watching live. Questions can be asked in the Q&A function. Please know that we cannot respond to questions pertaining to individual members, service bills, or accounts. We will, however, follow up the best we can with those after the meeting. Submitted questions will be addressed following the Vice Chair and President's report as time allows. I will now call upon Justice Clifford, Chief Strategic Officer, to deliver tonight's invocation.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening for the annual meeting. If you will please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, as we gather together today, whether virtually, on the phone, or in person, we ask for your guidance and wisdom. Help us to listen attentively to one another with open minds. May we not be quick to judge or criticize, but instead seek to understand different perspectives. We pray that you will give us the wisdom to make the best decisions for the greater good. May our words and actions be guided by your love and grace. In your name we pray. Amen.
Brenda Wolf, Secretary of the Cooperative, will now submit proof of the notice of the meeting.
Good evening. I present the following. First, a copy of the notice of the meeting stating the time, place, and purpose of the meeting. Next, an affidavit executed by Jeff McAllister, Managing Editor of the Ohio's Electric Cooperatives, showing a copy of the notice of the meeting to each member of the cooperative that is dated June 28, 2024. In the annual report released in the July Ohio Cooperative Living Magazine pages, you received a copy of the minutes of the 2023 annual meeting of the members to be considered for your approval. Thank you.
The Secretary is directed to incorporate the copy of the notice of the meeting together with the affidavit of mailing of the notice in the minute book of the cooperative. Our registration total shows 628 members registered. According to the Code of Regulations of the cooperative, the members attending this duly called meeting constitutes a quorum. Consequently, I now declare the annual meeting of the members of the Lorraine Medina Rural Electric Cooperative, Inc. lawfully and properly convened and ready to proceed for the transaction of the business. It has become customary to waive the reading of the notice of the meeting and the minutes of the last meeting of the members of the cooperative. I will now ask for a motion, second, and a vote to waive the reading of the minutes. To participate, please click the Q&A button and type in your full name and township to make a motion. Do I have a motion to waive the reading and approve the minutes of the 2023 annual meeting? Please click the Q&A button and type in your full name and township to sponsor this motion. Heather Harrisville Township. Do I have a second? Mark M. Pittsfield. A poll to vote on the motion will now appear on your screen. Please select yes or no to submit your vote. According to the poll, we have a majority to approve the motion. I would now like to introduce the current board of directors whose pictures were shown at the beginning of this meeting. I am Vice Chair and District 1 Director Gary Rowland from Rochester Township, serving since 1978. Chair John Eaton from Huntington Township, serving District 4 since 1984. Secretary Brenda Wolf of Sullivan Township, serving District 7 since 2015. Treasurer Keith Lowe from Homerville in District 8, serving since 1997. Director Ken Dietrich of Carlisle Township, serving District 3 since 2022. Director Jim McConnell of Pittsfield Township, serving District 2 since 1997, and whose time on the board concludes with this meeting. Director Judy Pickworth of LaGrange, serving District 5 since 2006. Director Joe Swenko of Litchfield, serving District 6 since 2018. Director Rick Dumfer of Chatham Township, serving District 9 since 2022. At this time, I would like to introduce Attorney Heather Niedermeyer Heyman for the election and the voting results.
Good evening. Petitions for directors were filed this year by Brady McCann, District 2, John Cerrone, District 2, Judy Pickworth, District 5, and Keith Lowe, District 8. The petition process nominates candidates for directors. Any member who wishes to run for director from the district in which they reside files a petition signed by at least 25 members of the cooperative who also reside in that district. A provision in the Code of Regulations eliminated the requirement for a ballot in an uncontested election and deemed any unopposed candidate elected by the membership. Therefore, Judy Pickworth and Keith Lowe have been deemed elected as our directors from District 5 and 8, respectively. For our District 2 contested election, Co-op Ballot provided each member with a ballot that identified the candidates and also gave the members instructions on how the member could cast their vote. Voting commenced on Wednesday, June 6th, and ballots had to be received by Wednesday, June 20th at 11:59 p.m. in order to be counted. When elections are conducted by mail and electronically, no voting takes place at the annual meeting, and instead the results are announced. Co-op Ballot has certified the results to the Cooperative's Election Committee for this year's District 2 election. Co-op Ballot has certified that Brady McCann received a majority of the votes for director, and therefore Brady McCann has been certified as our newly elected director from District 2. Thanks to each of our members who participated in our election process. All of our elected directors will serve 3-year terms on the board.
Once again, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 88th annual meeting of the Lorraine Medina Rural Electric Cooperative. We appreciate your presence and engagement in this year's virtual gathering. Safety of both our employees and our community are a top priority for the cooperative each year. I'm excited to say we saw an increase in interest in our live line safety demonstrations in 2023. We were invited to many schools, fire departments, and community events, introducing participants to the electrical hazards and stressing the importance of staying away from fallen power lines. These live line safety demonstrations are available to any community group in our service territory as schedule and time allows. If you are interested in scheduling a demonstration, please give LMRE a call during regular business hours. Every year, we are proud to share an ongoing success of the LMRE People Fund. This initiative is dedicated to the offering the support of our members and communities' occasional needs. In 2023, thanks to our effort of our 9 volunteer People Fund board members, we awarded 21 grants totaling over $76,000 to deserving organizations and individuals in our service territory. The small change rounded up from our bills truly impacts our communities. Thank all of your generous donations. Before we move on, I would like to take a moment to recognize the LMRE members who serve on the People Fund Board and devote their personal time to running this effort. Lonnie Montgomery, Chair, District 9. Rachel Woodrum, Vice Chair, District 2. Patrick Piazza, Treasurer, District 6. Pat Hamker, Secretary, District 5. Laura Brady, District 1. Patty Feekins, District 3. Tom Seaman, District 4. Christina Jordan, District 7, and Tim White, District 8. As cooperative members, we have an opportunity to participate on a national platform, encouraging legislators to advocate for topics in our best interest. We can do this by participating in American Electric Cooperative PAC, a political action committee for the nation's electric cooperatives through the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association. In just a bit, you're going to hear how the government currently is making decisions that impact cooperatives directly. American Electric Cooperative PAC gives members the opportunity to raise their voices on behalf of the cooperative to state and federal government officials who make the decisions. That affects our way of life. It's only $25 a year, or $2.08 added to your monthly electric bill to join. The money is used directly to support candidates or incumbents who will speak for and protect the interest of the electric cooperative. I encourage all LMRE members to consider adding their voice to this worthy effort. Thank you to everyone who has already participated in the American Electric Cooperative PAC to promote the best interests of the electric cooperatives around the state and country. Thank you again for joining us at this year's annual meeting. Your participation in the governments of Lorraine Medina Rural Electric, your cooperative, is a huge part of what sets electric cooperatives apart in the industry. On behalf of my fellow board members and employees of LMRE, it is an honor to continue to serve you for another year. Lastly, on the behalf of the board and cooperative staff, I would like to extend a sincere thank you to District 2 Director Jim McConnell, who attended his final board meeting in June. He has held an important role representing the cooperative and its members for many years, and we are grateful for his steadfast commitment to his duties. At this time, we would like to share a message from Jim, followed by an update from Buckeye Power. Just a reminder, following the President's report, we will begin the question and answer portion of the meeting. So please make sure to submit any questions you have.
Thank you, Gary. It is a pleasure to speak to all of you this evening. After I was elected 27 years ago, it became quickly evident that being an LMRE director means a lot more than just a monthly meeting. I thought of reciting a list of responsibilities of an LMRE director, but quickly decided few of you would want such details. The list is long. LMRE has nearly 17,000 members and over 1,500 miles of power lines. Directors have to be sure that management, staff, and line crews are positioned and supported adequately, and above all, safely, to handle planned improvements and unforeseen problems. I want to personally thank the outstanding LMRE staff, members, and line crews as well. During my time, 2 outstanding general managers, Marcus Bryant and the current general manager, Ed Van Hoos, each provided well-designed solutions to problems and plans for approaching projects. Such advice enables the board of directors to approve actions that are best for our members. As LMRE members, you can be comfortable in knowing the management staff and line crews of LMRE are, in my judgment, exceptionally good. They recognize, as do I, that members come first, and especially the linemen do their best to meet your needs regardless of the conditions. During my years as an LMRE director, I have thought of my position as both a privilege to have the long-term support of the LMRE members and a responsibility to do the best I can do. I expect that whoever takes my place will do the same. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Pat O'Loughlin, President and CEO of both Ohio's Electric Cooperatives, the statewide trade association representing electric cooperatives, and Buckeye Power, the provider of electric generation and transmission services to all electric cooperatives operating in Ohio. In total, the 25 electric cooperatives we serve provide electricity to the homes and businesses of 1 million people across Ohio. We are grateful for the opportunity to provide service to your electric cooperative and appreciate the opportunity to participate in today's meeting. Today is an opportunity for you to hear firsthand from the leaders of your cooperative and get a better understanding of the issues we face today and those issues we see on the horizon that impact our ability to provide you the safe, reliable, and affordable electric service that you depend on. There are 2 big challenges Ohio's electric cooperatives face today. First, the impact of inflation on nearly every aspect of our business and ultimately its impact on your electric bill. Second, an aggressive federal regulatory agenda that is affecting both the reliability of the national electric power system and the cost of producing and distributing electricity across the grid from our power plants to your electric cooperative. We've all seen the effects of dramatic inflation over the past couple of years on nearly everything we buy. That's true for your electric cooperative as well. The cost of materials to build and maintain local electric systems, the cost of vehicles and equipment, higher wages for our workforce are all contributing to increases in your electric bill. Your electric cooperative is aggressively managing costs where it can, making decisions about projects and investments to balance the need for maintaining a healthy and reliable electric system and the cost increases that go along with each investment. Your board and management are carefully considering how to best meet both your immediate needs and the longer-term needs for a healthy electric infrastructure. Our second challenge is more concerning. It's the aggressive federal regulatory agenda that we are facing, primarily driven by the US EPA and its unrealistic goal to decarbonize our economy by 2035. This is affecting the ability of all utilities to produce an adequate and reliable supply of electric generation to meet the ever-growing demand for electricity and causing significant increases in costs. The US EPA has proposed several measures over the past couple of years that are both driving up the cost of producing electricity and causing several power plant operators to shut down fossil-fueled electric generation in order to avoid costly investments that provide little, if any, environmental benefits. The premature closing of power plants without a reliable way to replace that lost power generation has weakened the electric power system and increased our risk of widespread power outages during extreme weather events. We aren't alone in our concerns with this ill-conceived regulatory agenda. The North American Electric Reliability Corporation, the entity entrusted by both the U.S. and Canadian governments to monitor and assess the reliability of our nation's power system reliability, has the same concerns. So do most regional grid operators in the U.S. PJM Interconnection, the grid operator for Ohio and 12 surrounding states, has stated government policies are the greatest threat to our diminishing electric system reliability. We've already seen the costly and dangerous impacts of these policies in Texas, in California, and just last Christmas Eve in several nearby states. In the last year, I've joined other industry experts on Capitol Hill to express our concerns with the negative impacts the EPA's proposed rules would have on our nation's electric system, and on the people like you that depend on us for affordable, reliable supply of electricity. While we are making some progress with elected officials, we are still faced with a gauntlet of misguided regulations. It is essential that our elected representatives in Washington get our priorities straight. First, reliable, second, affordable, and third, as clean as possible. And we need to keep it in that order. Your electric cooperative has strongly supported these efforts to improve the policies and regulations that govern our operations. The leaders of your cooperative are looking ahead, making needed investments and improvements to be sure we're doing our part to keep our local electric system infrastructure in good shape so that we can meet your needs today and in the future. We remain committed to you, our members, and to our local communities. We hope you will continue to support our efforts to balance the demands we face and to help keep our priorities in order. Each cooperative is made up of a team of individuals that work together for your common good. And one thing has remained constant over the years for Ohio's electric cooperatives. When we face challenges, we are always more successful when we work together as a team toward our common goals. Thank you for your support and your participation in your electric cooperative.
Good evening. My name is Ed Van Hoos, and I am the President and CEO for Lorain Medina Rural Electric Cooperative. At this time, I would like to recognize our 2024 Children of Members Scholarship winners. Michael Gale of Keystone High School and Emma Rohr of Mableton High School earned our $3,000 scholarships. Michael also earned an additional $2,600 scholarship from our statewide association, finishing 5th in the statewide competition. Jarek Ringler of Crestview High School and Jillian Stannard of Wellington High School earned our $2,000 scholarships. And last, but certainly not least, Kirsten Taylor of Wellington High School won our $500 cooperative trade scholarship. Congratulations to this year's winners, and I encourage any upcoming senior living on LMRE lines to consider applying for these great opportunities next year. I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you to the LMRE board for providing me the opportunity to lead this organization. Thank you to the employees for all the work they do throughout the year to help make sure that your cooperative is focused on providing the level of service that you not only need but deserve. Thank you to my family, because without them I wouldn't be able to do what I do, in particular to my wife Melissa. And thank you to all of you, the membership, because again, without you, the members, we wouldn't exist to do what we do. I would like to talk to you about just a few items. You just heard Pat talk about some of the EPA rules that have now been implemented. From our perspective, these rules just go too far. They're unlawful, they're unrealistic, and frankly, they're just unreasonable. They create new regulations that are going to impact reliability in ways that we just haven't seen happen in the past. With our retiring baseload generation that is going on right now, and this transition to a new type of energy fleet, these rules push the boundary too fast and endanger our ability to provide the reliable power that you have come to expect over the years. It's for that reason that Pat and I and the board and many other industry professionals are asking for your help to get the word out, to try and bring some common sense to this transition that we're undergoing as a country. Secondly, we are seeing once again an influx of unscrupulous solar installers in LMRE territory. Now, this was a few years back that we had one going through, and we brought some warning messages to you about some of what their practices were. They get into your home, they're very high pressure salesmen. They try to convince you that if you don't sign on the bottom line right then, you're going to miss out on a great deal. But the opposite is actually true. The costs that they're showing you in the 50, 60, 70, even higher thousands of range are just way outside the industry standards. And what happened with the last company? They left you holding the bag. They declared bankruptcy and went away. I am concerned that these new installers going through the area are going to take the same tactic and endanger what we saw from the last time, people's 401ks and their retirements. Please, if you have a concern about a solar installer, give us a call. We're happy to take a look at what they're recommending to you and help you sort through what you're seeing there. Remember, we're not anti-solar. In fact, there are times when it may make sense for you. What we are is pro-common sense. We've had a lot of questions about the headquarters building. If you've driven by Spencer, you can see that they have made amazing progress in the last few months. The building shell is up. They're having the masonry completed. The roofing is on. They're starting to work in the interior. We are hopeful that perhaps by the end of this year, we may actually be able to move into the headquarters. But I don't want to jinx anything. We'll just wait and be patient and let the contractors do their work. Additionally, I get a lot of questions about our EV fleet and why we are transitioning some of our vehicles to that. Well, we're transitioning those that make sense to transition. For instance, we have some vehicles in our fleet that traditionally have been used for short runs. Let's say we need to go to the mail and pick that up, or go and pick up different supplies necessary for the co-op. We might have a car that does that. But when we transition that to an electric vehicle or a hybrid electric vehicle, we can see that the total cost of ownership of that actually is better for the cooperative and therefore better for the membership as whole. Now, that would not be the case if we were paying full price for those EVs. But fortunately, there is currently a program in place that allows us to buy an EV as an electric cooperative for the same price as an equivalent fuel engine, gasoline engine. So that means when we're replacing these, we have a decision to make. Do we need something that goes longer distance? Maybe that's a hybrid. Maybe that's a traditional combustion engine. Or do we need something that does shorter runs? In that case, maybe an all-electric makes sense. What's really nice, though, is that program that allows us to buy them for the same price that we were already going to purchase that exact same vehicle. And that's what we've been doing. With that, I want to have Gary come back up, and we're going to start taking some of your questions. Now, some of you have submitted them already, and we're going to go through some of those. But if you haven't submitted one, please go ahead and do that now, because our staff are over there monitoring that and trying to get some of those questions done as well. If there's a duplicate or something close, and we may answer it as we're going through, that would be fine. And again, if you ask something that's related specifically to your bill or your account or something like that, you can ask it here, but we won't answer it publicly because we don't answer those kind of questions live on a recorded stream like this. Instead, someone will get back to you later with an answer about that. Okay? So Gary, the first thing I have here is, are there any co-op programs to encourage and help with energy efficiency? And that comes from Lane. Well, Lane, we actually have quite a few. We even have an energy advisor on staff that you can call into who will help advise you at no cost to you on what you need to do for your home and your what we call building envelope to get it more energy efficient. We have lots of rebates in place. We have just so much information for you. Way too much for me to go through on here, but what I can tell you is this. Call into the co-op if you're interested in finding about energy efficiency programs and ask to speak to one of our energy advisors, and they will be glad to help you with that, okay? James asked, does LMRE still recommend installing a standby generator? Now, I told you about that last year, that I really recommend that you do that. And again, you heard Pat talking about the transition away from base load generation to new types of energy sources. Because of that, and because we're not sure about the certainty of what that generation source is going to be, I definitely still recommend that you look into getting a standby generator. And then Kathy is asking, can a member attend a community demonstration for the Lifeline, and are these published beforehand? Gary, would you like to answer that?
Yes, thank you, Ed. It depends on what the organization requests. Sometimes they're private. But we plan to have the demonstration when we have the open house for our new building. And at that time, all the members are more than welcome to attend the demonstration.
Yeah, that would be great if we could actually get more people to come. We're all about safety, and we want you to know what to do in the case of an emergency when there is a line down that you may be around. So please, as you see those things get announced, if you can make it, I really highly encourage you to come. If you're part of an organization that has an opening for something like that, call us. We'd love to try and schedule that with you. It's a very popular program, so it may take you a little bit. So I wouldn't say like call and expect that in a week we're going to be there. So try and call early so that we can get you on the calendar to do that. Robert says, if the LED screen is no longer readable on the meter, how do we get a new one? Just call into the office and ask for the operations department, and they can help you with that or with any other concerns you have on that operations side of things. They would be very happy to hear from you, and we'll help you get all of those types of issues resolved. I also got a question, what is the capital credit statement? So you should have just received in the mail, and if you didn't, you should be getting it soon, your annual capital credit statement. So as a part of a not-for-profit electric cooperative, anytime we make any money over what it costs to run the organization, unlike a for-profit organization that gives that to like the stock market or gives that to investors of some way, we actually give that back to you. And so the way we do that is in the form of capital credits. They get allocated to an account in your name and then paid out on a percentage basis as the years go by. This is approved by the board every year, a certain amount to be paid out. And if you've been on for a very long time, you're getting a little bit more. Obviously, you paid more over time, you're going to receive more. If you're new, you're probably going to get a little less. But the longer you're on the co-op lines, the bigger that account gets, the more that payout gets. Now, there are some changes from last year, and that is at the annual meeting last year, as part of our voting, the members, you, approved that if you move off of the lines, historically, you had to just still wait and take those payouts. But now, when you move off of the lines, you can take what we call a discounted payout. This takes into account a time value of money equation, and I would encourage you to look that up or ask your accounting friends what that means. But it would be a lesser payout to close that account and not have to deal with it anymore. This is beneficial for the person leaving because they don't have to deal with trying to track that down ever in the future, and also for the rest of the members because the rest of that settlement remains with the cooperative and helps run operations. So kind of a win-win for everybody. So next question I have is, what is LMRE's plan to promote and provide sustainable energy and move away from fossil fuels in a reasonable time frame? There's a lot of very charged words in there, right? So what is sustainable energy? What is reasonable time frame? It's our viewpoint right now that the current plan from this administration is not reasonable because it endangers reliability. I want you to also realize we're a distribution cooperative. So the generation cooperative, which is Buckeye, actually owns and operates all of the power sources necessary to get the energy that we then use. We don't actually do any of that at LMRE. We purchase that. But where are those electrons actually coming from? They come across the transmission network, which is owned and operated by primarily First Energy in our territory. Does that mean that the power being generated at the Buckeye power plants is actually what's going to your home? Well, no. There's no way to track that. So all sources of energy production are providing the power necessary to light your lights, run your refrigerator, wash your clothes. We can't say that this one generated from coal, this one electron here, is doing that, nor can we say this one generated from the solar field over here is doing that. So what we do is try to take an all of the above approach in our contractual relationships so that that way we're providing power from all possible sources and therefore provide the most reliable sources of power. And that's what we're doing. Do we have more questions coming in? Okay, so we've got a couple more. I'm going to get them for you. Okay, so we're getting quite a few questions about individual accounts. So remember, we can't speak about those publicly, and most people probably wouldn't want us to. So call us about that, okay? Let's see. Does LMRE have info or discussions on what to look for in solar panels and equipment? What I would say is we don't sell it, but we can help advise you. So just give us a call and ask for our energy advisors, and they can help you with whatever questions you may have on an individual basis. Hannah asked, how's internet service coming along? Right now, our collaboration with the internet provider is through Medina County, and we are talking about whether we're going to extend that through other counties. We're working through all those processes and everything, but from my understanding, they've done a pretty good job of getting through most of Medina County. Now, I know that doesn't cover everybody, but we had to start somewhere, and so we're hopeful that we can keep that going. And Richard says, what is the state of the R Solar, and when is the next phase rolling out? Well, R Solar 2 is available. So call in, ask for the energy advisors, and see where they are in the queue. I know we also have at Buckeye some grant requests in to maybe do another phase of that so that you could potentially sign up there as well. Will this election affect the price of electric prices due to policy? Oh boy, Gary.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. It's really hard to foresee the future here. It is. What is the election outcome going to be? And it's not just the presidential election. It's also what happens in Congress and who controls the houses. What's right there and what's wrong there. Your cooperative doesn't advocate for a Democratic or a Republican viewpoint. What we advocate for is reliability of your electric supply. That's what we do. The only thing we concern ourselves with is, are the policies being developed going to help keep your lights on and keep your heat going if you're electric heat in the winter, and keep your air conditioning going in the summer? If they don't, then we want to have discussions with legislators and regulators about why that can't happen and help come up with a more common sense way to make that happen. Gary, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, it's hard to say how that's going to affect us, but if the grid becomes unreliable, that's going to cause everything to go up. And it'll cost people jobs. If factories can't run, they're going to have to shut down. So this reliability issue is going to affect us all eventually.
Yeah. So I will say this. All elections have consequences, all of them. I would encourage you to take a look at the platforms that the current candidates have, and I'm not, like I said, not just talking about presidential, but all candidates, and see if they align with what you think needs to occur to keep reliable electric service. And from our viewpoint, that's a very major issue that we need to be basing our decisions on when choosing candidates. A follow-up question to that is, will the Supreme Court strikedown of the Chevron ruling affect LMRE co-ops on the EPA ruling? Absolutely. Any striking down of a precedent that says that you have to take the regulating agency's side, basically, and give them increased leeway, automatically makes it where they have a little more power on that. By striking that down, now you push that back into where the consumer themselves has a little more power with what's going on there. Now, that's still to be seen how that's going to impact and what's going to happen. But I think the biggest thing I see is it makes them talk to us more. And that's really what we want. We want to be a part of the conversation. We want to bring some common sense to how those regulations are developed. And that's really important for us. So we got 2 more questions, and then we're going to have to call it for the night. But if we have others and we didn't get to you, apologize, but we'll try to get you a response, okay? And for those who ask about your individual accounts, we'll definitely try and get back to you on that too. Jeffrey asked, why was the separate metering of electricity consumed by HVAC units abandoned? So first of all, when we do 2 meters, it's 2 charges, right? And so most people didn't like that. They didn't want 2 metering charges, so that was expensive. Secondly, the way that functioned, and most of these were like in a basement somewhere, we're trying to pull those out because it's hard to access them. It's expensive, especially from a labor standpoint. So we're trying to pull all of that out and come to a more unified approach. The current meters that we have are capable of reading both in and out. You don't necessarily need to have 2. They can do multiple functions. So we're working toward replacing those old meters with a new metering system that has more capability. Over time, you're going to see that probably accelerate as we get our technology plan in place and figure out how we're going to transition our metering systems to this next generation. And then the last question is, do we have thoughts on a rebate or credit for having generators? This is conversations we've been having in the board, even so far as to partnering with a generator company. I'll just tell you my perspective. I think there are enough generator companies out there in our territory right now that LMRE doesn't really need to get into the business. What we can do is help advise you. So if you need to install a generator, right, we can provide services to you to help you understand that a little bit better. And our energy advisors are pretty good at doing that too. So again, call in, talk to them. As far as offering a rebate, most of our rebates are in conjunction with programs that are at the statewide level, and they don't have one right now. It doesn't mean that they might not put one in, it just doesn't exist right this second. Should they do that? Maybe we will, okay? Well, thank you guys so much. I'm going to turn it back over to Gary, and I will see you out and about or at this meeting next year.
Thank you, Ed. Do we have any unfinished business to come before the membership? Seeing none, do we have any new business to come before the membership? Seeing none, I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you for attending this year's annual meeting. Stay safe, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you.